Okay, guys. A lot of people don't know what the sponsorship scandal was, believe it or not. In Canada, you would think everybody does, but there's a lot of university students who were in high school who had other activities. And a lot of university students who preferred the pub. And we know this. So I'm going to talk briefly about what it was, and then I'm going to talk about how it developed, and try and give you a sense for how scary this situation is. It could happen anytime, in any place. And each and every one of us is responsible for letting it happen if it happens again. So you're going to find I'm an advocate. I'm also preaching a cause at the same time. So you're going to find that I'm trying to convince you of something, not just give you some facts. What really happened, 1994 is when it started. It started with Chuck Guite, who was in charge of the advertising management group. He reported to an assistant deputy minister, which according to the federal bureaucracy is the second highest bureaucrat in the system in that department. The highest is the deputy minister. So I'm not going to try and give you the whole structure. That would be another 30, 40 minutes to start with. And you wouldn't understand it then. It starts with a change of government. The change from the Conservative government to the Liberal government. Chuck had been an advocate and actually working with the Conservative government in charge of their advertising. And that was okay. He only had a say-so over what advertising went on, not how it happened and who bought it and what companies were involved. He met with Dingwall. And this is exactly out of his testimony, Chuck's testimony to the Public Accounts Committee. And it's a very telling quote as to how the corruption started. He has a meeting. I recall clearly as yesterday, after this 20-minute discussion, that Minister Dingwall, who I was meeting for the first time, got up, walked around his chit desk, and he says, "Welcome aboard. You won't rat on them. You won't rat on us." The question Dingwall had asked was what happened under the Conservative government, and Chuck had said, "I'm not telling you." This is the start of direct reporting to a minister, which should never have been allowed to happen. So in November 17th, there's a meeting with my organization, who was in charge of the contracting, the payment function, with Guite. And he told us at that time, "You don't like what I'm doing? I'll go to the minister, we'll change it." Because he wanted to tell us everything we would do. December 1st, how many of you work in bureaucracies? Anybody? How many of you know how fast a bureaucracy doesn't work? Right. November 17th, he states it's going to change. December 1st, it changes. And I was assigned to report to him directly, and he now has the complete responsibility for the advertising, and I'll talk about what that means in a second. And December 5th was the effective date. So what's his new authority? It is very, very broad-based, and you have to realize everything works under checks and balances. He raises a requisition. That's fine. That's saying, here's the money, let's go buy it. He's approving the funds. I have the funds to spend. He chooses the contractor. I want to buy it from LaFleur Communications. $3 million, there's a $3 million 3-day contract with a $320,000 commission to LaFleur. That actually exists. He decides the terms and conditions. On this 3-day contract, he also said it would be immediate payment, in which case the firm gets the $3 million check in 48 hours, not a 30-day payment. He authorizes the work to be done. Yeah, I want them to do the work. He signs off for the fact it's actually been done. Yes, they did the work. He approves the invoice. That's correct payment. And sends it off to get the payment done. That's a lot of power in one person. So what does it start doing? It starts backdating the files. Well, it doesn't matter how fast I approve a contract. I can approve contracts. A person comes to me and says, I did this two months ago, 3 months ago. Oh, we'll cover you. We'll change the contract. We'll backdate it. We'll falsify the dates. Totally illegalities. Illegal authorization of contracts. I'm not supposed to sign the contract, but I have full authority. I have a minister backing me. Keep in mind, he's not worried about anything. He's got the minister up there. I'll sign it, even though it should go to a higher level to approve the money, to sign the contract. Payment for no work done. You went and used this contractor. I don't want you to use that contractor. You should have been this contractor. We'll now redo the contract, and this guy becomes the main contractor and gets a fee for using you as a subcontractor, even though the work's already been done. Work for no work. Yeah. Payment for no work. Commissions. Paid for little or no work. Multi-million-dollar payments authorized at a single stroke of a pen. And falsified documents. More and more documents. I had documents delivered to my desk. I was asked to look at them, and then I was told to throw them out. I honored all those requests to the letter. When asked to throw them out, I threw them out. What they never said was, don't photocopy them first. But I could never be caught for not having followed orders. And I'm not going to talk legal corruption. I want to talk about the moral corruption that goes on, the corruption of the soul. You don't start out corrupt. You become corrupt. And in all your jobs, you have this pressure. And you become part of the problem. A vacuum presents an opportunity for those who don't have a clear sense of direction. I don't think that Chuck Guite started out as a corrupt individual. But I think he was given a huge opportunity, and he stepped into it, and he began to see more and more opportunities because he was allowed to do things he knew he shouldn't be allowed to do, but he's allowed to do them. So he becomes corrupt. The tendency may have already been there, but the system broke down and allowed him to become corrupt. Payoffs and bribes. The people working for him, they got to go on great trips. Rewards, promotions, perks, they got promoted. In fact, within the federal system to this day, the people who work closest with them all are sitting in their jobs with their promotions, getting their great salaries. Nobody has been punished. And the Liberals were caught diverting some of this funds to their own party. But one of the things I will be fair to, it's not every Liberal. It's some of them. It's high-ranking Liberals. So we come now, that's an overview of the sponsorship. I'll talk more about it later on. But moral values, moral courage. It has three elements. The principles applying your values. The danger, recognizing the risks. And endurance, being willing to endure the hardship. Think for a minute and ask yourself, are you willing to do that sort of thing if push came to shove? And then I'm going to walk you through what happened with everybody in the department. I want you to keep those things in mind, especially endurance, enduring the hardship. This is Rushmore Kidder. He wrote a book called Moral Courage, which I read about 3 years ago. He is not writing about the whistleblowing experience. He's writing about the need to stand your ground and do what's right. And funnily enough, it's the best book on whistleblowing I've ever read.